This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, back with us after a few weeks off from wrestling, because I was talking some music the last couple of weeks, is the one and only Gabi, the matriarch of the D-Lew podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. But first and foremost, before we get started with the coverage of All In London and Bash in Berlin this coming weekend, we do have to acknowledge the unfortunate passing of one Siete, better known to the world as Sid Vicious, Sid Justice, the Psycho Sid. Um, I go back watching him in the old NWA WCW as it was making that transition in 1989. Him and Dangerous Dan Spivey were the tag team known as the Skyscrapers, managed by one Theodore R. Long. And he got injured, I think, and then a guy named Mean Mark Callis, he became something special, I think, and he took his place in the Skyscrapers, and Sid became a member of the Four Horsemen.
hmm
It was him, Barry Windham, Ric Flair, and Arn Anderson, managed by Ole Anderson. And then the following year, obviously that year in 1990, as a member of the Horsemen, he challenged Sting at Halloween Havoc 90, Terror Rules the Ring, for the World Heavyweight Championship, in which Sting retained the championship. And then after that, you didn't see Sid anymore, and he just pops up in the WWF as Sid Justice.
hmm
And it was, I was just like, that was a game changer, because he showed up, and then maybe a month or so later, Ric Flair shows up in the
hmm
WWF. So, of course, which ended up happening, he ends up wrestling Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 8, and he was supposed to feud with the Warrior. That kind of went, and he ended up leaving, shows up in WCW, I think in 93. You know what I mean? So he's had a stellar career. And I mean, we can't, and I could say, and I'll let you chime in on Sid, but I was at Madison Square Garden November 17th, 1996 at Survivor Series when Psycho Sid,
hmm
defeated Shawn Michaels to become the World Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion. The roar, I could still, even today, I know what the roar sounds like when he won that match, and just see the pop of the fans from where I was sitting in section 101, row D, seat 12. I have my ticket to this day. And he was a two-time WrestleMania main eventer and a two-time WWE champion. And he will be sorely missed. There was a lot of love being shown towards Sid online.
hmm
On when you talk about, when you want a prototype, when you want to build a professional wrestler, he looks like Sid. Your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So one of my favorite things about Sid is that he was in ECW for like a cup of coffee, and
Yeah,
he came and like wrecked and caused so much havoc that he disappeared.
yeah,
Like he came in, caused a little
yeah,
chaos. It was like deuces. So that's
yeah.
actually one of my favorite memories of Sid was his very short stint in
In
ECW.
ECW, yes, wow, because it's crazy, because he did a short stint in ECW. Scott Hall did one, of course, when he came
hmm
out to um Ready or Not, Here I Come by the
hmm
Fugees. Dusty Rhodes did a stint in ECW,
Everyone
so a
kind of
lot
just
of
pops in the
it pops
ECW,
in.
little
Yeah.
havoc, little craziness, and like, all
Hmm.
right, I'm out. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a shame, because like Sid should have been in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? And it sucks now that he's gonna go in, you know, after his death. I think he
Posthumous,
should
yeah.
go in, yeah, posthumous. So, you know, condolences, deepest sympathies on behalf of the D-Lew podcast goes out to his
Absolutely.
family, and give them all the strength, that they need. And I'm also sending special love to the Anawai family on the passing of Alpha the Wild Samoan, Lynn, um, Volley, Alpha Jr., LA Smooth, all of y'all, nothing but love, from the D-Loop podcast to you guys on behalf of on the loss of Alpha the Wild Samoan. But this past weekend, was All In London, taking place at Wembley Stadium. They didn't give the official
Numbers.
attendance. I don't know why. If you can elaborate, was there a reason why they didn't do it?
They didn't, but we all know it was not a sellout. It was not as many people as the previous year, and I think that's maybe why they didn't want to seem like they were going backwards. But honestly, selling out 50K is still an accomplishment, so I don't know why they didn't announce it. That's so weird to me.
But think about it. The WWE didn't use the full Brown Stadium for SummerSlam,
Hmm.
and that was what, 55, 56,000, whatever it was.
Hmm.
So it's not like that it would be an actual failure. The fact that wrestling basically in the month of August had two stadium shows with two different companies, over 50,000 fans, lets you know that wrestling is in a very, very, very good
Absolutely.
place. You know what I mean? So I don't know why Tony Khan was withholding that information. I'm pretty sure Wembley Stadium will probably have an official statement about that. I think, as
Hmm.
far as saying, hey, this is who the turnstiles. This is how many fans were in attendance for All In. We're gonna highlight on us not all the entire card because my God, it was
A
when
long
you
night. It
took
was a long afternoon, rather. It was a
it
long
was a
night.
long it was a long afternoon. So we're gonna highlight some of the matches that Gabi and I decided we were gonna talk about. The first one being Mariah May and Timeless Tony Storm. Now, I was very shocked of the finish. I did
I
not
was not.
see the really talk about it.
I had a feeling Mariah was gonna go over. Number one, hometown girl. I mean, so I definitely saw that. But the way that this has like the storytelling in this, the
Yeah.
timing made sense for the belt to switch hands. Tony still got her flowers. They showed a picture of her walking out and her after the match, like everything, like she got her flowers, she got a standing ovation, she got clapped out. I kind of saw it happening. It makes sense for the direction of the storyline for Tony to drop. And Tony had a great reign. Sometimes it's just, it's just time
It's time. And I mean, think about it. I can still remember when Mariah May was trying to get signed.
by
She was
everyone.
on Twitter, like, sign me. And now
Hmm.
she's the AEW Women's World Champion. I mean,
I love it.
kudos. I mean, that's about that hustle and bustle, man. And this is where I say to people, support independent wrestling.
Hmm.
Support independent wrestling because you never know which wrestler you might see that's going to be ending up on one of these big shows.
Hmm.
And I could tell you right now, I've seen
I'm sure.
a lot of people on the independents that end up wrestling in WrestleMania.
Hmm.
So they're just, I mean, Tony Nese is one of them.
Hmm.
Tony Nese won the Cruiserweight title at WrestleMania 35. I remember seeing him at ECWA Super 8 tournament in 2012.
Hmm.
So anything is possible. You know what I mean? So support independent wrestling is all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, we have a new AEW Women's World Champion, in Mariah May, and let's see what happens, with this.
Hmm.
I know there was the three-way tag team match, with the Young Bucks, the Acclaimed, and FTR. Again, everything you would expect, with
Yep.
with these three teams in the ring. Obviously the Young Bucks did retain. I mean, I wasn't shocked by that at all.
The match
Um,
checked the boxes, right? Like,
yeah,
that's a lot to say.
right.
The
And that's what
match
I'm saying.
checked the
I
boxes,
mean,
right?
I'm not souring on it at all. But I'm just saying, like, it was just okay. Something that I would see. I know that I'm going to get. I'm going to see. I'm not going to expect anything less. In other
Correct.
words.
Agreed.
So again, the EVPs retain. Now there was the Casino Gauntlet match for a future AEW World Championship match, and everybody was anticipating the arrival, the debut of the recently signed member to the AEW roster, the one and only Ricochet, which he did make his way into the Gauntlet match. And
Hmm.
kudos, you know what I mean? I think now he had that WWE run, and I think he can apply a lot of those things of less is more. He can still do the flippy stuff. I'm not saying he can't do the flippy stuff, but as far as throwing caution to the wind every night, every week, I think it'll be it. I don't think we're gonna be seeing all of the oohs and ahs every time. But when it calls for it, I think that's gonna be the case. Your thoughts?
I think that we honestly will. I think that the AEW roster is built for like the flippy dippies. Because you have so many people there that have that similar skill set.
Right.
Um, Hopefully it doesn't come off as overly choreographed as he has become before. But I look forward to seeing it. Like run me back him and Aleister Black. It's so many like dream matches that we can do with Ricochet, and
Mhm.
I want to see how they use him, if they use him the way he should be, and not him just ending up on the back burner like some people from WWE have done. I hope it's not the case because genuinely he has a
Yeah.
move, he has a skill set, but I'm reserved because I've seen people end up kind of in Tony's back pocket for a while. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, we've seen that movie plenty of times before,
Hmm.
and it's like I wish nothing but the best for
Absolutely.
Ricochet. I know he has some spats online with people, and I'm just like, don't even waste no time with them.
Hmm.
Your bank account, and I don't even like. I'm not a pocket watcher, but I'm like, man, look, like I'm making money, and this is where a lot of fans don't understand. The end of the day, it's a business. And as long as the check clears every week, and sometimes you may or may not be on TV, but as long as the check clears, hey, listen, it's a business, and that's
It's
where people got to understand.
it's a lot of folks, I think, in AEW's roster that are at that stage in their career, we'll say, where they're like, you know what, the check's clear. I ain't got to beat my body up every single week. I don't have to do all of these things, and perhaps I'm not
Hmm.
traveling every single week. Perhaps I can spend time with my family. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's kind of like
Right.
the balance of being okay with kind of like being in Tony's back pocket and being pulled out for certain reasons. I don't see Ricochet being
Absolutely.
100%, but
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. But there was also another surprise that, oh my God, what a place.
Now this one I didn't see coming.
Nigel McGuinness.
Did not see this one coming.
Oh my God, what was he? Desmond Wolf in in
Mhm.
TNA. I was just worried. I didn't like when he was Desmond Wolf. That I mean, but some people do. But after what was it, 13 years he hadn't wrestled? That
Mhm.
was crazy. It was Okada that was like in the ring,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, oh man. So again, in his home country to
Okada and
get the
Orange Cassidy, yes, because
also
he was with three.
Orange Cassidy, yeah.
Yep, because he was three.
And I was just like, oh my God, that was incredible. And I
I
don't
texted
want to.
you immediately and was like,
Yeah, I was just like, what? I said I couldn't believe it. But I was really happy for him. He looks in phenomenal
he
shape.
was not winded. His body is ripped. Like he looked. I need to see him and Dana Bryan immediately. Run me
I
that,
did.
please.
I'm
In my
sure that'll.
veins, right here.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll revisit that at some point because we all know he has. If you want to talk about the hater of the year, I mean, you
He
might
up
as well
there.
put
He up
he's up
there.
there too. Absolutely. So the winner of that gauntlet match was Christian Cage.
Didn't see that one coming.
No, but man, oh man, oh man, you want to talk about the mic work that he's going to do with the AEW World Champion, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
I mean, his mic work with anybody, honestly, but yes.
Yeah, it's so much depth that he can do with Brian Danielson. So it's gonna be, like I said, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens. Um, Will Ospreay, he defeated MJF,
Hmm.
for the it was the American Championship, but it was the International Championship. I kind of figured he beat him with the Tiger
Tiger
Driver
Driver.
91
Hmm.
91. He did beat him with it, and he got the title back. I mean, I understand why they had him drop the belt to MJF before, they drop it to him, but and just to win it right back. But I don't know. I really didn't see the significance. Your thoughts?
Um, I get it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but they did something for MJF to do. It's kind of how I view it, right? Like he couldn't jump in the main
Right.
title picture just yet. Throw him a mid card belt. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know something for MJF to do, and now MJF can do something else. I guess I don't know.
And that was the thing I was wondering. I'm like, well, what is he gonna do next? Is he? I mean, maybe he might feud with Ricochet. You know what I mean? That I could see happening.
Sure, MJF could honestly feud with anybody and it would work in some sorts. So I don't know where this is going. I don't see him feuding with DB right now. I don't, you know what I mean?
No,
Like it doesn't, I don't know. We'll see.
no, 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 not
And
at
also,
all.
I think MJF rubbed a lot of folks wrong with this little MAGA thing he had going too. So like maybe it's time to cool him off for a bit. So I don't really know what's happening with that.
Yeah, that was a
That was
bit
just
that
weird.
was a bit
That was just
odd.
weird. That was
That
weird.
was it was yeah. That might be the part of MJF's career he probably won't talk about. We'll see. But the AEW TBS Championship, Mercedes Moné with Camille Brickhouse defending against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and a lot of folks weren't very pleased with the match. You know, I saw some highlights of it, and it looked a little wonky, a little bit.
It
Talk
was.
about so what do you think went wrong in the match? Do you think it was the lack of chemistry? Was it one trying to outdo the other?
I don't know if it was lack of chemistry, because we've all seen Monet put on some matches with pretty much everybody, and they log on pretty okay.
Right.
Even we're not gonna get into names, but we've seen her like with some
Yeah.
some not as good matches. I am a very big DMD fan. However, I can admit that DMD's best match was with Thunder Rosa, the lights out match, where she
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily wrestling in the ring. I think that we have to be honest with ourselves and say that DMD is not the best wrestler technically. I
Well,
think that she has a great personality. She's gorgeous. Her ex-boyfriend is Adam Cole. I think there were a lot of factors in DMD's success. Um, so I don't know if her and Monet would have that chemistry because again, DMD in ring sometimes is just very okay. Nothing's wrong with that. Like
right,
very
right,
okay, right? Like she has a lot
right.
of factors in it. Um, so like I just don't know if it was a level of like her not wanting to do it, her not
Hmm.
doing it, a little bit of rebellion, shall we say, with everything going on with that we've heard about DMD recently. Um, and I also found interesting that in the presser, Monet normally gives a lot of props to her opponents, and she gave none to DMD. And I
Speaking of that,
understand.
wait.
Mhm.
Speaking of that scrum, I have to jump in here for a second. To the individual that asked the inappropriate question to Mercedes Monet about her recent divorce, I don't know if you'll probably listen to this podcast or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do yourself and everyone that's in wrestling media a favor and just stop asking questions like that, because it's stuff like that that might stop media scrums from happening for wrestling content creators like ourselves.
Agreed.
That when I heard that, I'm just like, did he
Yeah,
really just ask?
I text you immediately and was like, yo, what?
I wanted to play it in context to make sure that it was real.
Mm-hmm.
And Mercedes, to her credit, played into it, whatever, played around with him. But that was a very, very inappropriate question. And I just don't think that, I mean, and I've seen some inappropriate stuff at these scrums before, and I'm just like, come on, guys. Like we're fans, we get it. But at the same time, it's like, don't ruin it for everybody else.
That and your personal life is your personal life. Like, yes, I understand that she made a video about it because she wanted to get ahead of it. It's a very calculated move. She wanted to get ahead
Agreed.
of it. She knew it was
Right.
coming out. Let's address it before it addresses me. But that should have been the end of it. Like that is at the end of the
Right.
day, that is her ex-husband. That is a very big thing in her life. Like that did not have anything to do with AEW. That had nothing to do
Right.
with the match. That had nothing to do with her championship belts. That had nothing to do
No.
with nothing. It was almost like the person asked that question to go viral, and it sucks because that is the clip that walked away from that presser, not any of the other things that was said. Um, and it sucks because people like me and you have been told no by AEW, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, damn, you got told yes. Interesting.
Right.
Interesting. So hopefully lessons were learned. But don't do that again. Same thing with the hook question.
About the joke about it was a joke
the
about
joke of a
the
belt.
joke of the FTW title. Yeah, and
Inappropriate. The
yeah,
person
that
ended up tweeting an apology to Taz, and Taz accepted the apology, and the guy explained it and was like, I didn't, my bad. I didn't mean it that way, even though, I mean, you said it that way, words mean things, you
right,
know what you're doing.
right,
But he did tweet Taz earlier, and Taz, said Tony Khan handled the question amazingly, and he did. Tony props to Tony for immediately stepping in and being like, let me explain to you some history. It broke it down off his dome.
right,
But yeah, again, just like read the room before you ask these questions.
right.
Because no, not appropriate.
Now, the co-main was the TNT Championship. It was a coffin match between the champion Jack Perry and Darby Allin. And of course, I think the match got cut short, I
The
believe,
match
because of
had to have gotten cut short
yeah,
because it
because they
was
only
like,
got 10 minutes, 40
yeah,
seconds.
and it felt like
And
5. It felt like it felt very
right,
quick. It felt very rushed. Um, I don't know. That match didn't land for me. I had a feeling that Darby was going to lose, because Jack just got the new title, customized the title. He just got the belt. I had a feeling that would happen, but like it just still seemed very like not Darby's best work and definitely not
right.
Jack's best work. It just was like a very rushed match. And again, I recognize that because the show ran over. It was a lot going on in the show. So I understand having to cut a match or cut down a match and that being
Put
the way to
down
cut
the
down.
match time, right? But of course, they were trying to set the coffin on fire once they put Darby in the casket, and of course, lights go out. It's
It's Sting!
Sting, and Sting walks down the aisle, and saves the day. You know what I mean? So it was a nice pop, for him to save Darby Allin from getting caught on fire. Because
Didn't save him from losing, but saved him
that's
from
true. But hey, listen,
fire.
hey Darby, hey, listen, Darby kind of had it coming. He did set Jack on fire, which I was just like, what the frick are you doing? It's crazy. And of course, the main event, title versus career. Bryan Danielson challenges the AEW World Champion Swerve Strickland, and I think this was Swerve's best work.
Easily. Easily.
This was
Agreed.
Swerve's best
Agreed.
work. Shout out to Bun B that came out to the ring. West Side Gun came out to the ring with Swerve. Shout out to my boy Prince Nana. By the way, get his coffee at princenana.com. This is not an ad, just supporting my boy. But yeah, I mean everything like the freaking no sell that he did from Danielson's knee, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, I said this is on now, and the finish reminded me of WrestleMania 30.
Mm-hmm.
Tapping out, to the LaBelle lock, and of course the streamers confetti is going off, and it was cool that Bree, Birdie, and
The
Buddy
family. Mm-hmm.
got in the ring. I just find it really, really cool that all 4 of their names begin with the B.
Mm-hmm. That's cute.
So like I said, obviously, months ago, fans were complaining that, All Out, I mean, so All In and All Out being a week apart was just too much.
Agree.
So it's not going to be this weekend, but it's going to be the following weekend. You know what I mean? For All Out in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure, as we're recording this on the Tuesday evening, I'm sure what's to come on Dynamite tomorrow night, it should definitely set the tone, in preparing for All Out in Chicago. I did want to, speaking of Tony Khan and scrums, I had to bring this up. For those that remember or don't, obviously, All In London last year was the scene of the crime known as Brawl In. You know what I mean? CM Punk had to choke. He had to choke somebody. That's how he put it.
It happens.
And yeah, and ultimately got fired the following week. And Tony Khan took it upon himself talking about the environment, and I quote, I frankly think it's an environment backstage at Collision than it was a year ago to do things. I think it's a lot easier flow between the two shows than it was a year ago. I think the locker room is a much better place than it was a year ago, as evidenced by when we came here versus what happened here a year ago. And I think it's a much easier job I have dealings because I have to deal with people on Collision last year, and it's a much easier meeting process to put the TV together than it was a year ago at this time too, if that makes sense.
Can they please stop making Punk the draw of all of these companies? Like, can y'all just leave this man alone? Because Punk has left y'all alone. Can you just leave this man alone? Also, you created Collision for Punk. Like, let's not play this game here. Like,
Right.
you
Like that was
created Punk, you gave him Collision, you gave him the keys to that kingdom because you let him run the show and write the show and blah blah blah. It's like let's not play this game, sir. Like, let it go. Let it
that
go.
was I'm like, just when you think, you know what I mean, that we've heard enough from, they stopped the Punk slander, here we go again. And it's like, you once again, you're proving the guy right. Phil Brooks is having the time of his life in WWE. He's making money. He is in the hottest storyline in the business right now.
Let him go. Leave him alone.
Like that's the part I don't understand. It's like, what the hell?
Leave him alone. He's left y'all alone. He made a couple things here and there, but for the most part, he's really left y'all alone. Leave him alone.
Unbelievable. But that we will put the baby to bed for All In, and we're gonna transition now to this weekend's Bash in Berlin in Germany. And as we speak, WWE superstars are on tour in Europe right now and getting ready for obviously this Friday's SmackDown, and then of course Bash in Berlin, which starts at 1 p.m. Eastern time, ladies and gentlemen. So we get I'm loving about these international pay-per-views, PLEs. They've been so good to us stateside, especially on the East Coast. We get an afternoon wrestling, and then we can just chill the rest of the day. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Have the day to myself,
Absolutely. Can you imagine if we get WrestleMania, at 3 p.m.? I mean, come on, the possibilities are endless. I mean,
listen, do you know how happy my old
I
ass would be?
know.
You know how hard it is for me to stay up and watch these AEW shows that go
Yes.
on for 4 hours? At least
Yeah.
WWE, for the most part, kind of cuts it a little bit, but like AEW will run from 7 p.m. to 1 with nothing. Like, listen, I have to watch the second half of the second half of the show the next morning because your girl is tired.
Right.
So
Right. So I mean that just really goes to show you, like, because remember, I was all for them doing that because they were only doing 4 pay-per-views a year. Now they've increased the event. I'm like, all right, not everybody. Like the fact that they had a 16-man tag match on the dark matches. Come on, man. I get it. Listen, and shout out to young Tommy Billington that just got signed to AEW as well. He got to wrestle in his home country, which is really cool. A split an image of his uncle, the Dynamite Kid. I'm glad that the family is letting him use the Dynamite Kid name. But that's a lot of human beings in a match. It's not a battle royal. You know what I mean?
And I think it's because they shot so many shows over there, they wanted to use folks. Like I can appreciate it as a fan and someone who enjoys the business, but as someone who's just watching the show, like it was a lot. It's a lot. I can appreciate it, makes you appreciate the other end of that spectrum where WWE has like maybe 5 or 6 matches. Whereas All In had I think 11 or 12.
It was 12.
Yeah.
4
so like, I
dark matches,
appreciate
8 on the
I
main
can
card.
appreciate just like 4 or 5 matches and calling it. So I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, seriously. But like I said, we are going to move on to Bash in Berlin that is going to take place at the Uber Arena in Berlin. It's going to be taking place there. And like I said, it should be a fun event to watch. I'm going to start with for the women's tag team match, the unholy union of Alba Fire and Isla Dawn taking on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. By the way, I got to say, I absolutely adored what Jade, Naomi, and Bianca did on SmackDown when they were
Mhm.
paying homage to the GOAT, Simone Giles, who just won, she had an incredible Olympic Games,
Mhm.
and they had all three of the outfits that she wore. I thought that was pretty cool, for them to do that. Black Girl Magic.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, to be truthful, I don't see Bianca and Jade winning this match. I honestly don't, because what was it, June, wherever it was, when Alba Fire and Isla Dawn won those titles in Scotland. So I don't know. I'm thinking I think to cement, their reign, because they're still relatively new. I think that they're still getting their footing on the main roster. I think they're getting their footing, and I think to keep that momentum going, I definitely keep the belts on them. Your thoughts?
But are they a draw? Jade and
Mm-hmm.
Bianca can draw some money, baby. Let me tell you, they can put some merch out. They can draw some money. So I see what you're saying, but like
Mm-hmm.
business side of me is like, what have they done with these belts? Like, are they captivating audiences? Are people wanting and screaming for them like they do for Jade and Bianca? So I see both sides of that. I guess we'll see on Saturday. But I see Bianca and Jade taking it back.
I said this before a couple of weeks ago. There are times where I don't know if the Unholy Union are heels or baby faces. I don't know. I
Yeah,
honestly don't know. And to this day, I still don't know.
yeah, we talked about this.
That's like the only slight I have. And not them as wrestlers, not them as people or
It's a
superstars.
creative.
I'm just talking about the creative itself.
Yeah.
That's the only issue that I have with them. But we're split on it, and that's cool. That's what we love about this show, is that we can definitely have our own opinions
Mhm.
about stuff. Again, I think it can go that way, but again, with you just never know. You never know. We have the strap match with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. And for those that did not see Monday Night Raw last night, this is what I'm saying, how Punk is having a good time. Um, Drew McIntyre is cutting a promo in the ring. And if you were on Instagram, you would see where CM Punk, what was he, under the ring?
Mhm.
He was under the ring watching the monitor on IG Live.
Mhm.
He was on Instagram Live, ladies and gentlemen. And right where Punk's music came on, he left his phone there. Mind you, because I think he took a picture. He had Samantha Irvin. Just, oh my God, it was just so funny. And his phone was there, so when you were on live, you just heard the action going on. And he gets his phone and he's walking through the crowd, and I'm just like, oh no, he's like, yeah, nice day's work or something like that. So I think this is where Punk gets his lick back. I think this is where Punk wins.
I don't know if it's gonna be clean.
It doesn't have to be because it's a strap match.
Yeah, no, but you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's going to be some shenanigans in this match, is what I'm saying. Like, I understand it doesn't have to be clean, whatever.
Right, right,
But
right,
I
right.
think that it's going to be some shenanigans in this match. So,
What type of shenanigans are you talking about?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. But I had a feeling this is not going to be just the two of them in a strap match.
I get it. I get it. Okay. Well, I know Seth is injured. He's selling the injury, and I know he's legitimately hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't know when Seth will be back. And speaking of Raw last night, did you see that tsunami from Bronson Reed, who my girlfriend calls the meat guy? Like, you saw the
No.
freaking lights, like the freaking electric, the wiring. My God, talk about that for a second.
How? 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 Like, I just how? Like that is my statement. How?
All
Because
the windows burst out.
again, like just how? Yeah, how?
That was very. I was like, wow. But you know what though? Braun is doing for Bronson Reed what
A
the
lot.
Big Show was doing for Braun Strowman.
Absolutely.
Braun is Teflon.
You got
So
to pay it forward. Absolutely.
absolutely, and Bronson Reed is looking unstoppable because they're booking him the right way
Finally.
as a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And this reminds me of Mark Henry's Hall of Pain run in
Mm.
2011 and 2013 and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I believe, like I said, I think Punk. Like I said, we're gonna wrap that up with Punk winning. But you said he's gonna win, but it's gonna be some shenanigans
Shenanigans.
happening there. So okay, that's perfectly fine. Now we got the Terra Twins, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley as they take on Judgment Day's Dirty Dominic Mysterio and the Women's World's Champion Liv Morgan. Let me just say, it's like I think the Hurricane went on social media like right after SummerSlam. He was like, Dom went from being a heel to really being a heel.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And this new Judgment Day has a different look because you got to understand, like, Damian and Rhea has a stature to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And but that's why I'm glad they got them together. And I can't wait for them to drop some Terra Twins merch.
Mm-hmm.
That will definitely sell seriously. But of course, you can get all of your WWE merchandise over at wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com. So you can get all your WWE merch. I'm sure they run deals all the time. It could be 25% off on shopping, on shipping, or whatever the case may be. I'm just freestyling right now. But make sure if you want to go to WWE Shop to get some merch, you can go through my link, wrestling.thedlewpodcast.com. But I don't see Rhea and Damian winning this match because it's almost like it's the Teflon effect. It's not
Mm-hmm.
going to affect them. They are so over right now, and I think to me, Dom and Liv need the rub more than Damian and Rhea. Your thoughts?
I actually think that Dom and Liv are going to lose.
Hmm.
I actually think that the Terror Twins win, and then they got to run it back and then we go solo at Bad Blood. So I think it needs to be 1-1 because Liv already got the win.
Right.
So you can so that's the only reason why I think that they're going to win because it needs to go 1-1, and then we'll go into Bad Blood,
Bad
and then it'll
blood.
also give us Finn. I'm sorry, not Finn. Or no, Finn versus
Damian.
Damian at Bad Blood. So I think we got to kind
Right.
of do some setups here. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's all going to head to head at Bad Blood. So I think that's the reason why.
Right. Because I was thinking that the Judgment Day was going to cause Rhea and Damian to lose the match.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was thinking that could lead to Bad Blood.
Mm-hmm. Possible.
It's all possible. And again, ladies and gentlemen, again, wrestling is all subjective. It's like we could talk all these,
Theories.
predictions and everything
Mm-hmm.
else, right? But at the same time, it's like it's still enjoyment. It's still fun that we get to talk
Absolutely.
about these things in fantasy book and saying, "What if I had the pencil, I would do it this way." No, I would do that, but I could do it this way too. So that's the art of professional wrestling, ladies and
Mm-hmm.
gentlemen. We got the undisputed WWE Championship match with the champion Cody Rhodes defending against Kevin Owens. I absolutely love KO's promo from last week. How he basically said, "Yeah, all the guys I turned on kind of deserved it except for Kofi." It was just random that he
Mm-hmm.
just threw Kofi's name out there because everyone loves Kofi Kingston.
Absolutely.
So yeah, but I don't see Cody losing his title. I don't.
No, I mean he doesn't. And then at the end, I think we can see the writing on the wall on this one, right? Like he loses. I'm sorry, Kevin Owens loses. He beats the hell out of Cody, and then we move. You know what I mean? Like I don't see Cody dropping, especially in Berlin
Right. I
right
mean,
now.
Cody, right. I don't see Cody dropping the title this year. I don't.
Yeah,
I really don't see it.
same.
So, yeah, it's just like to me, and a lot of people's, I think, issue with Cody's reign, not the matches itself, it's just the creative behind it because of the fact that the lack of heels for Cody to
Yeah,
face. Your thoughts?
the lack of heels and they're not giving us what we want. Like we want him versus Randy. We want a few things. And they're just switching up the storyline so that they can't give us what they want. They keep giving us what they want to give us. And I'm not
Yeah.
mad at him versus Kevin Owens, but I think that
Right.
there are better options available. But if it's gonna give Kevin Owens some love, and I love Kevin Owens, I'm here for it.
Right. The way that the match was set up, I wish it would have been like a number one contenders match or it could
Agreed.
have been a battle royal where the
Not
final
him
four.
just saying, "Here you
Right,
go."
right. I would have loved the fact to say, hey, it's a battle royal. Or Cody should have come out and say, hey guys, we're gonna do a battle royal, and the final four are gonna be in a tournament to determine the number one contender, for the championship. And that really gives it more depth in regards to Kevin Owens working his way up from underneath and
Yeah.
getting that number one contendership. And they could have done that in a couple of weeks. You figured have that battle royal and then have the final four.
Mm-hmm.
Have the final four, and then the next week on SmackDown, you have the tournament of the two, and of course you have the finals, that third match, and then whoever wins goes to Bash of Berlin. That's how I would have done it to give it some depth.
Agreed. They could have
Okay.
built it better. I agree.
Absolutely. And of course, the main event for the World's Heavyweight Championship, Randy Orton going for number 15 as he challenges the World's Heavyweight Champion, the Rengeral Gunther.
Gunther ain't losing.
No, he's not losing, but
Like,
he's not. But I will say that I loved how they went back to King of the Ring and revisited that screwy finish,
yeah,
because Randy's shoulders technically were not down.
down. Correct.
So Randy, in the fact that they used that, they say, "Hey, well, you got a title shot now, and you can get the whatever the case." So I
Mm-hmm.
love the fact that they were able to get creative and use it. And because fans, listen, you're not going to pull a wool over the modern fans' eyes anymore. Those
Correct.
days are gone. Like, fans pay attention to continuity and details. That's the
Mm-hmm.
way we love our wrestling. Tell your stories the way they should be, and not just this random. Oh well, they're gonna forget about it. No, the
Yeah.
fans are not going to forget about it. They're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I do see. I mean, the match is going to be a war, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a half and half, because I think the fans respect Randy enough where I think the crowd's going to give him the respect, but they will be cheering for Gunther, because he did. Obviously Austria is not too far from Germany, and he definitely got his work in on the indies out in Germany. But
Mm-hmm.
your thoughts on the match in general?
I think it's going to be a great match. I again, like I mentioned, I don't see him losing, especially in Berlin.
Right.
But I think it'll be a great match, and I'm very curious to see where this leads for Gunther.
Well, considering some other things, it could be a stipulation match of Bad Blood. I don't know. Um, I'm curious to see where this leads Randy Orton,
That too.
because, in my opinion, I think this is where the turn happens, because it's going to be the situation was like, well, hey, you gave Kevin Owens a title shot. Why couldn't you give me one?
Yeah, at some point we do have to get that match. So yeah, that makes sense.
I totally am with that. I want that match to happen. It needs to happen. There's enough depth in the story going back to their days in Legacy. We're
Hmm.
talking about 2008. We're
Yeah.
talking about 16 years ago. He was in that Cody, Ted Jr. and Randy were in Legacy. So, and I can't forget about Manu Alpha Jr. I can't forget about him either. He was also in Legacy as well. But when it comes to Gunther, I guess time will tell. I
Hmm.
mean, we got to think about the baby faces that are on the card. Maybe they might give the Miz another shot. Who knows? But we'll see.
Time will tell.
Well, like I said, this has been a crazy couple of weeks of wrestling, of just event after event after event. Now, like I said, Bash of Berlin's coming, and then of course the week after that is going to be All Out in Chicago, and all roads lead to Bad Blood in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Which, by the way, from what I understand, Metro Boomin and Cody Rhodes are still waiting in the car outside the State Farm Arena. Just saying. So I love that.
Another
I love
reason why he
that.
can't drop because he's
I
got things
love.
to do in Atlanta.
Right, exactly. So, and Metro Boomin has doing more than making drums. I just want to just put that out there as well.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? For those that know, if you know, you know. But
Absolutely.
Gabby, before we get out of here, as always, give out your social media handles so that people can follow you on there.
You guys can find me at Charm City Gabby, Gabii with two eyes, and you can follow my weekly podcast, Lip Gloss in Ladders.
Well, you can get that podcast every week. Shout out to the three ladies that she's on there with. Huge kudos. And next year at Fanatics Fest, you guys got to be there. Like you guys,
Absolutely.
because I saw Patricia from those wrestling girls.
Mhm.
Shout out to Patricia. Her and my boy Brian H. Waters. They're happily in love. I love those guys. Like I said, I got a chance to chop it up with them over that weekend. It was an amazing thing, and I think more wrestling content creators are going to start coming out to that, being that WWE basically shut that whole thing down. I would love to
Yeah.
see you guys and other, even with jobber tiers. I'll shout out to Sir Wilkins. I want those guys there too. So we'll definitely see what happens. But as always, thank you for all that you do, and let's get ready for Bash in Berlin.
I will see you there.